On today's episode of You Asked, how to protect your OLED TV from sunlight, fixing your HDMI connection issues, and how to play your old VHS tapes on a brand new 4K TV. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. This is You Asked, the show where we answer your tech questions. If you've got something you want to know, send your question to youasked@digitaltrends.com, and don't forget to tune into the show to see if your question has been selected. Mr. Propre1731 has the first question and says, I'm looking for a TV and I stopped at two variants, the Samsung S90F and LG B5. Since the S90 is a bit too much for me, I chose the B5. Then a guy at a store said that OLEDs suffer a lot from direct sunlight. Since I have two large windows in my room and direct sunlight throughout the day, from sunrise to sunset, I have a question. How can I protect my new TV from fading and burning out? Or should I look for mini LED instead? That's a good question and something I think a lot of people have on their mind with their TV set up in their living rooms or anywhere near windows. There are lots of different experiences with TVs and sunlight shared online, but to sum it up, yes, OLED panels and direct sunlight are a bad mix. Honestly, any TV and direct sunlight are going to be a bad mix. Even with blinds drawn, just letting in a few lines of sunlight, I've seen people say that it's left a bit of an outline on the TV. The good news is, at least in that case, it looks like a pixel refresh helped solve that issue for a number of people. But the sunlight exposure would almost certainly shorten the lifespan of the TV. With mini LED, you don't have some of the issues that may come up with the organic material in OLED TVs, but that direct sunlight still adds heat. And we know heat and electronics are not a good mix either. The solution here to protect your LG B5 is curtains. Keep as much direct light off the TV as you can. Plus, in addition to helping the screen, reducing light in the room means you may not need to run your TV at maximum brightness to compete with the sun. Keeping that TV brightness down will reduce strain on the pixels in the OLED, and in a mini LED TV, reduces strain on the backlight that may start to dim over time. It's also a good idea to just familiarize yourself with some of the OLED care features available in your TV. Pixel cleaning, screen move to keep the same pixels from being illuminated all the time, adjusting logo brightness. These are just some of the features available in many OLED TVs to keep them looking fresh. Beverly Simmons 7885 says, I haven't had a TV for over 25 years. Honestly, Beverly, congratulations. I pray it's because you were just out seeing the world for yourself. She continues, I want to mount one on a wall and I want it to be exceptional picture-wise. The cables will go through the wall, not down the wall, and it'll be a 65-inch size. Do any of these, referring to our video on LG's 2025 TV lineup, allow for old VHS kid movies to be hooked up for the grandkids? Beverly, I truly love this idea. As a father of an almost 2-year-old, I'd love for her to get the VHS experience, the good and the bad, and especially with the state of streaming and physical media these days, I'll come back to that. This is a great idea. To answer your question, what I think you're going to need to pick up is a composite AV to HDMI converter. This should allow for you to take the video and audio signal from a VCR to your TV. HDMI just wasn't around during the VCR era like that, so you're not going to find any that have an HDMI out like you would with modern Blu-ray players and game consoles and all those things. Even with some DVD VCR combos that have an HDMI out, most of the time that only works for the DVD side, while the VCR still relies on the composite outputs that us 80s and 90s babies know all too well. Yellow for your video signal, red and white for your audio split into two channels. We'll link some options in the description. Now, they vary in price, but they are pretty affordable, especially as an add-on to a brand new LG TV. Speaking of which, LG is a great choice. We're a big fan of their upscaling, especially some of the top 65-inch models that you're eyeing from that video. Now, I can't speak for how good the picture quality will be going from the VCR through the converter and to the TV. That may be a lot to ask to kick some of that lower resolution stuff up from 480 up to 4K, but I think it's still worth a try because the state of entertainment media right now is just not great. I'm sure everyone's seen the battle for Warner Brothers. Netflix has a purchase in place which includes HBO Max, but last I looked, Paramount was still fighting for it as well. It's just one big media acquisition after another, and with the streaming forward giant Netflix now owning the rights to so much media, and Disney pushing their streaming service, which is home to lots of my favorite childhood movies, it's hard to imagine a world where there's a lot of physical media much longer, and I'd hate to be stuck with subscriptions as our only option for life. That's my long way of saying I love that you're doing this for the grandkids, Beverly. If my parents still have any of our old VHS tapes at home, I think I'll see if they can set something up like this as well. Jim has our last question. He says, I have an LG 4K TV and a Denon 5.1 receiver. I use the TV remote to control both the TV and receiver. Previous to a recent LG system upgrade, although I don't know if this is responsible, I could turn the TV and the receiver on and off simultaneously using the TV's remote. But now the receiver will not turn on or off unless I use the receiver's remote. I can adjust only the volume with the TV remote. Incidentally, I also have a Fire TV Cube connected to the TV, whose remote does turn the 2 units on and off. Obviously, however, I would prefer to use only one remote. Any suggestions? I think the first thing to do, which you probably already have, is check your HDMI settings for external devices. I'm not sure which LG TV model you have, but look under the general section of the settings menu for something like external devices. Within the HDMI settings, at least on this LG G4 that I did a video with last year, you may see something like SimpLink, which is what LG calls its HDMI CEC, and you want to make sure that's turned on. There may also be universal control settings. Within that menu, see if you can select the specific input that the receiver is plugged into and manage settings. That may open up a few options to help. I wish we had an LG TV on hand right now so I could just run through these settings myself and check. Sometimes there are standby and power on settings that can be adjusted as well. If that doesn't solve your issue, then I'd go with a full power cycle, like a full, complete power cycle. Make sure everything is powered off, TV, receiver, audio equipment, Fire TV Cube, then unplug everything from the wall as well so there's no power available at all to any of these devices. Give it at least 10 seconds or so, then plug everything back in. Power up the TV first, then power on the external devices, and in the HDMI settings menu we just talked about, make sure everything is set correctly. That should reset the HDMI handshake that needs to occur between the TV and all the devices to get everything running from one remote again. And if anyone else has suggestions, please let us all know in the comments. That's it for this week's episode. We hope everyone enjoys the holidays with family and friends. If you've upgraded your home theater setup lately, watch your favorite holiday movie on it. Just really soak it in and enjoy the time. Thanks as always for joining us here every week, and we'll see you again soon.